But we're starting off with the dailies now. Let's give you a feel of what the dailies are saying in a moment.
Okay, just a moment.
So the happenings across Nigeria is where we're starting off with on the front pages. Let's take a look at Vanguard newspaper. For a start, you take a look at what Vanguard newspaper has to say. And yes, it's about security or the lack of it. In fact, Vanguard says, worsening insecurity. Let me just show you. Niger government imposes curfew, 11 killed in fresh Benue attack. Evil will be defeated. That's coming from the NSA. Says Tinubu met a bad situation. That's what the Vanguard leads with this morning. You see, this is carnage. We're helpless, Governor Aliyah. There's so much on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper that even the front page itself is a story. There's so much breakdown that the front page itself tells different stories without even opening it. So just imagine what you see on the inside pages, Jeffrey.
So does this mean perhaps there were another fresh attack after the NSA left Benue?
That's what it suggests.
There was another attack.
11 people killed.
So that's why I am very uncomfortable with the confusion about the identity of the people. You understand what I'm saying? You have to know your enemy and who is you're dealing with. We cannot be inconsistent. These are criminals, these are whoever, however you want to define it at the end of the day. So that's why I want them to be clear on who we're dealing with. Are we dealing with foreigners? Are we dealing with herders? Are we dealing with bad elements within an ethnic nationality? Let's be clear. This inconsistency is not helping anybody. Because when you do that, it says to Nigerians you're playing politics and there's no way you can explain yourself out of it. If my village people are responsible, the criminals in my village should be gone after. It's as simple as that. Because people are being killed.
Yeah, Jeffrey, and it's simplistic when people explain it away as, you know, this is coming a couple of months down to another year of election, and it's just to undermine the administration and make the administration look bad. But what did the administration promise, you know, ahead of the electioneering campaign before it came to power? Didn't it promise to deliver on, you know, security, those, you know, ambitious and highfalutin promises? So it's simplistic, you know, to explain it away. And then we should also ask, how come during an electioneering year we hear 23,000 deployed for election security, and then you see the efficacy of, you know, security agents at that critical time? So, you know, it supports the point again that Bakare is making. Is security for regime protection or for the all-important reason, you know, which is a critical part of the social contract that we keep mentioning time and again, which is to protect life and property? Well, the administration's security officials should ask themselves that question time and again.
Well, this latest attack is said to be in the early hours of yesterday, perhaps before the NSA visited. So it's just a continuation, really, because it looks like they keep discovering more corpses and the death toll keeps increasing. But that's what you have on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. There's a lot more, as I said. It's so much on the front page. You can tell that this holiday didn't quite taper down the stories. No, they all came out fresh on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper.
I think let's go to maybe the Guardian this time. The big headline says Nigeria works a tight rope as IMF sees higher inflation, lower oil prices. I think we have the meeting in Washington, IMF, World Bank, and of course I understand that the forecast for our GDP has now been lowered. It's about 3%, and clearly I know all the indicators. The oil prices are down. Our inflation is not tapering as aggressive as we expect it to be. Cost of living is high. Our oil production hasn't improved in that sense. So the basic fundamentals that aggregates to boost the GDP hasn't really taken that level of flights that we expected to see, or what you may consider an uptrend, because the government is estimating around 4% or thereabout. So at least for now, everybody's trying to be cautious in their own optimism, whether Nigeria or the World Bank or anybody who estimate these things at the end of the day. So this means that it's not a hurry yet, and we always say to government, we see some of the things you're doing, but you're not doing enough. We see NEL fund, we see the FX reserve, we see debt to revenue ratio. Those are great things. But like in a football match, the most important statistic is not shot on goals, shot on target, yellow card, passes, foul. The most important is scores, who won. And that is the quality of lives of Nigerians. So this is clearly indicative that Nigerians should brace up. Hard times are not over just yet. Guys?
Oh, that hit hard. The next on the list for our review is This Nigeria. And This Nigeria trails on an ongoing story. You hit us too hard, Senate tells Bakare. And listen to the riders. Says Pentecostal pastors' charges unfair, unsubstantiated, born out of personal frustrations and unfulfilled political aspirations. Of course, the pastor had delivered a State of the Nation address that was, a bit damaging, so to speak, on the administration's efforts, so to speak, at socio-economic development, speaking generally. And this is the response.
And directly at the National Assembly, too.
Yeah. And this is speaking to a reply to the State of the Nation address by the Pentecostal pastor. Well, I wonder if this is as objective as it can get. Perhaps sometimes, silence when criticisms are made is more appropriate than a reply, because then the reply, doesn't, reflect on the objectivity or the performance of self-evaluation of the efforts of the administration, so to speak. Yeah. Well, there are other stories that we can look at this morning on the front page of This Nigeria. PDP appoints caretaker committees for Bayelsa, Edo. We hope that moves the party a bit closer to that all-important NEC meeting. But as far as that is concerned, there's also another, concern about governor's defection. I don't know how, Jeffrey, you're the one that...
Yeah, I can't say certain things on air because they are still within a zone. But certain things will happen not so long from now. We'll be able to be clear. So some is going to be outright. Some will be not outright. So, but there are some things that cannot be said. But let's leave it within the zone. But let's just use the word alignment and political realignment. They will come to fruition. But there's a lot of calculation and projection, timing, and all of these things to see what will favor all of them, especially governors that are seeking for. What we have found out is that there's an approach of governors who are seeking for second term. There's also the approach of governors who are ending their term.
So they need the defection to end the second term.
Yeah, so there's a lot. I don't want to use the word yet. It's early days. But just watch what will happen.
Interesting times.
As I said, I can't tell you everything yet.
Interesting times. We're in. Nigerian News Direct also toes the path of This Nigeria with a response of a Senate to Pastor Tunde Bakare saying, don't vent your political frustration on National Assembly. But one thing we need to ask is, you see, the National Assembly is a representation of the society, right? So what are the constituents saying to their representatives about these issues, about the way they voted when it comes to rivers? And I'm talking about you, right? You have a representative in the Senate, in the House of Reps. Are you okay with what they're doing? So it's not just like Pastor Tunde Bakare is, what do they call it now, is taking Panadol for your headache. I think it's a conversation we also need to have. What are you saying to your lawmaker? But that's it with the front pages this morning,
guys. The National Assembly should do us a little favor. The Senate President, the Speaker of the House of Reps, should give us the log of the names of the people that sat and endorsed that state of emergency and the suspension of elected officials, so that we can share with Nigerians, say, these are the people. If you don't like what they did, please make sure you start recalling them, or you vote them out in the next election.
Or you vote for them again if you like what they did.
Or you vote for them again if you agree that they did the right thing with River State. That's why we're insisting that everybody, we should have known your pattern. As a legislator, we're supposed to be able to track how you voted on all issues while you were in the assembly. We should be able to track. especially constitutional issues, we
Jeffrey,
should track. But
I'm not so optimistic about the partisanship or the non-partisanship of those that would have to vote.
so
We'll take a break, and when we return, we'll begin our very first conversation, which will be on security. Stay with us, we'll be right back.